All right, welcome in everyone. We'll wait a minute or so, let everyone else who's supposed to be on the webinar, let them get in and attend. If you are on the webinar, go ahead and let us know you're here. We'll wait just a minute or so.
It's Delane.
Hey, Delane. Happy to have you. Hopefully more from your team will be joining. Such a great day here in Ohio.
Yeah, really nice one out there today. We're going to wait a couple more minutes and
No, I asked if they were going to be joining.
yeah.
I don't know if anyone else from your team filled out the form to come on. I don't want snow. I am allergic to winter.
Well, I guess it was going to be cold.
Yeah. It was snowing today on the way taking the kids to school this morning.
Yeah, it did for us too.
101. We'll wait just another minute here. We won't keep anyone waiting too long, and we'll get going here in about 30 seconds. Everyone needs to be on the webinar because it is some interesting stuff. All right, let's go ahead and it's 102. Let's go ahead and roll.
I'm going to pop the screens up.
Yep.
All right, just want to welcome everyone to the webinar today, why you need a cybersecurity risk assessment. This is something that we're doing for all of our clients and prospective clients to kind of teach them a little bit about what their risks are. And a lot of them don't know what they are. So this is a way to find out for your company. So let's go back to here. So why are you here? Probably here for one of at least the three reasons we have here. You're a small business located in Columbus, Ohio. You want to make sure you're protected against the rising cyber attacks on small businesses, which are coming fast and furiously right now. And maybe in the likely event that you suffer a breach, you're kind of asking yourself, what do I do now? What is my next step that I need to take? So who we are Blue Team Networks. Most of the people on the call today know who we are. But our mission really is to protect networks and the businesses themselves and the families that rely on those businesses. So we're really about helping our customers figure out where the risks are, what they have to do to protect them, and really take care of their employees and have their employees kind of work with the companies to help secure them. So we really specialize in supporting small businesses like you. We have US-based customer support, where you see that. We have a team behind our team, which is a 24/7 security operations center that runs, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So the agenda for today is we're going to talk about basically what a cyber risk assessment is and why you need one, how long it would take to get the process done, and what are the next steps your business needs to do to actually mitigate your cyber risk today. So we're going to talk about all three of those things today. So why should you listen to Blue Team Networks? Well, if you look at some of the stuff that's going on in the marketplace, you probably have seen a lot of the things on TV. And usually it's the bigger ones that get reported on. You just don't hear about the small companies that are getting breached because they just don't make the news. So one of the things that even happened here in Columbus, Ohio is like Bricker Neckler, a big law firm here. They got breached, I think back in 2021. Yeah. The breach just got announced that the damages that they're going to have to pay were $1.95 million. And that came after the breach. So They had to suffer all the breach. They had to tell their customers they got breached. They lost customer data, healthcare information, and then they had a class action lawsuit to follow that, and that was 1.95 million. So it's probably a much bigger number than that. And one of the things we're going to talk about later on is if you're Bricker and Eckler or you're next on line to get hacked, is your cybersecurity insurance going to cover some of this? And that's one of the things we're going to talk about a little bit later on. So that's just kind of one example. We have quite a few examples, even from some of our older clients that got breached 4 or 5 years ago. We have some things we can tell you about that a little bit later on too.
And even current clients.
Yeah, current clients. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. It's not a matter of when it's going to happen. I mean, if it's going to happen, it's when. It's going to happen to everyone at some point, and not having a plan is a recipe for disaster.
And the reputation that a company, that the hit that they take is it's a big thing, because it's hard to recover from those things, especially if you don't have a plan to address it right off the bat, kind of lower that or lessen the blast radius of what happens to your organization, so that you can actually have steps to take to get back on track and start making money again. So really, what is a cybersecurity risk assessment? There's kind of 4 pillars of the risk assessment that we actually perform for clients. One is to help you just identify and prioritize the risks that you have. So we run a lot of tools on the network. We run some dark web scans. We do some things to help you figure out where you're at risk, and then how do you address those things. 2 is we help protect your assets. So we give you tools and other things that we do, vulnerability management, VPNs, all that stuff, to kind of help protect the network itself. And then we go, if you have to comply to any kind of regulations out there, we have modules that will help you do that and track where you're at, and then document those for reporting purposes. And the last thing is we really help, and this is kind of one of the things, once you get everything put in place, is we really want to help you improve your efficiency as an organization. One is, how do we use technology to help you grow? Because that's one of our big objectives, even for 2024, is we really want to help our companies use the technology that they're investing in and use that for their growth, because technology is running on the background of every company out there. So let's use it to the fullest extent so we can help you make more money and grow your business.
Yeah.
You want to add to that, Jason?
No, just, it's 4 good points. I mean, the efficiency piece is huge, because a lot of clients we work with are paying for Office 365, and there's so much that can be done to help automate and increase the likelihood of these companies being more efficient, and they're already paying for it. So, a big goal of ours is to really help, clients to utilize as much as possible that they're paying for, and sometimes consolidate, because the more third-party tools and products that you use, and Dropbox and all these other things that you're not managing, those are all attack surfaces that, if you're not managing them properly, you're not logging everything, you're not implementing 2-factor authentication, they're entry points into your data, and there's risks that might not even be known. So if we can help consolidate as much as possible down to as little platforms as possible as well, that helps reduce a lot of what's going on, and helps streamline your security and be a better posture facing the world. So it's a huge thing. And the risk assessment helps identify some of those third-party platforms that you might not even know some of your users have signed up for.
So, the cybersecurity risk assessment is kind of the, what we call the framework. So what we're really out to do is help you protect the people, and that's the people that actually work for you. So not just the business itself, but the whole family in your organization, everyone that works for you, all the people that are dependent on that organization for their livelihood. We really want to help protect the people and have them part of the process to help you with security, as opposed to just the company does things and no one else is participating. And a lot of the problems are going to come from user training and them not being trained on what to look for to actually help the company protect its assets and data. So the other one is really protect the processes. So as you grow, one example is, and probably a big one, but let's say you had somebody come on board and you had to give them access to 10 different applications and passwords. And then a week later, 2 weeks later, something happens, they don't work out, and now you have to offboard them. So those processes are probably two of the biggest ones you got to pay attention to, because you got to get them access to everything, and then you got to make sure you've taken all that access back so they don't leave with corporate assets.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, that's a big one. We see that all the time. One, and the next one is really protect the technology. So, what are you doing with, protecting all the assets you have internally? Those are kind of easy things because we're behind firewalls. We have, other protection programs that run inside the network. But what happens when people leave, especially today and after COVID? 50% of the workforce is still working remotely. And the problem is when they take those laptops and those iPads and they leave the organization, now they're working at home, and all the security you had put in place is only now in the office. It doesn't travel with them. So we're talking about how to, really change the methods we're providing for you so that security follows you.
Yeah,
and the last
crucial.
part, yeah, and the last part, really protecting data, which most all of our companies and people that we talk to out there, a lot of those are already doing that. This is one of the things that when we're backing up your data, we're backing up your Office 365, we're keeping it in multiple locations, it's encrypted. We actually go one step further than a lot of people do, and we actually test that data to make sure, we can get it back. Doesn't do any good to back it up if you can't get it back. So these are just things that we can help you do. And then the next step would be, what happens if you had a disaster and even if it's not cybersecurity related, and you lost a server, the drives are messed up, and we have to get that data back, or your building burnt down? What do you do? How can we spin up your data in a cloud location or some other location so that you can actually continue to do your business? And so that's part of the protection of the data part. So we're going to talk about first is really just protecting the people. I know we talked a little about that. We have a little presentation that probably does a little bit better job than me just telling you about it. But this is one of the platforms you run internally that gets all your employees involved and active in helping the company secure. Not only just email, whether they open files, how they share information, how they send emails to people, just all this type of things that we help them with a platform that kind of gets them engaged and wanting to do security and help the company. The other thing is, this is a platform that you as an owner or you as a company can look back and say, hey, this person isn't doing the training. They're not interested in doing the training, so they're not interested in keeping track of their progress, or they're failing the test because they don't find it useful for them, or they don't think they should have to do it. And these are things that you might say, hey, maybe this person isn't right for us because they're not going to help the company. They're just going to continue to do what they're doing, and that could cause a breach later on. So,
yeah, I mean, people are the weakest link in the security chain. So we're all busy, we're all moving too fast, and usually what happens is we take the shortcuts, we click buttons we shouldn't, we click on links, we're not thinking. Training goes a long way, and education goes a long way, and technology and processes on top of that can help really mitigate a lot of breaches. I think the statistic is like 85% of data breaches start with an employee getting phished. I mean, that's a huge number.
Yeah, it's really easy to do. I'm not saying I haven't done it. Everyone in my organization knows that they've caught me doing it once or twice.
Yep.
So it's very easy to click on something before you even thought about it, and next thing you know, that could have been a potential breach for the company. So it's very easy to do. So we're going to train you with some things to look for. So hopefully you don't do those things. So this is a brief presentation for us. I'd like you to watch it. And this is one of our platforms that will help you do the security awareness training, which is really one of the first check boxes on your cyber liability insurance. So if you're not doing this already, you should be doing this.
Yeah, and this is mandatory for this is mandatory for clients that are under compliance. So if you're under HIPAA, you're under GDPR, you're under Sarbanes-Oxley, any type of compliance really, or you're going through a SOC 2 audits or things like that, a security awareness training program is mandatory. So and they should be graded. They should be getting weekly insights to what's happening, new things that are coming out, because it's always changing. So this platform gives you really an eye-opening view of how much your employees know, and over time how much of that information they're retaining, and if they're going to be a disadvantage to your company when it comes to interacting with email and wire transfers, things like that. So it's huge.
Yes, I don't think I have a way to start that.
Yeah, you actually might not be able to in this platform. So we might just have to skip that because you can't click on the slide, it looks like.
Well, you just have to take our word for us on that one.
But I mean, a lot of our current clients are already in this platform, and the ones that are on our full cybersecurity stack, they have access to this. And basically, it's an employee evaluation assessment. So it goes out and it tests them on their current knowledge, and then identifies whether they're poor, fair, or good with their knowledge, and what they're retaining, and really helps give you an understanding of how likely that person is to get compromised. I mean, it's kind of like it's like a FICO credit score for compromising, and how much they retain, and just really how maybe little knowledge they know. And they're going to be ones who just click on everything and anything in your email. And the great thing about this platform as well is that we're able to test this monthly. So we're able to send out fake phishing emails on a monthly basis and randomize it, try to capture login data. During our risk assessment, we've definitely had people at clients that we work with that have submitted data, filled in fake Office 365 credentials, and actually filled out these forms. And right there, you're breached. Someone has access to your email. It's a business email compromise. So it's good to find this information out before these type of things happen, and then get these people the education that they need on what to look for. And putting security is about layers. So giving them the training isn't going to stop everything. It's not a magic bullet that once they take this training they're going to be a superstar. I mean, hopefully, but probably not. So putting extra layers in there on click time protections, when they're clicking links, it's analyzing those links in real time. So layer upon layer is how we stop these threats.
Yeah, that's good. The second part is, like I said before, kind of protecting the process. And two of the biggest processes, we kind of talked about those a little bit, is just employee onboarding. So what do you have to do to onboard an employee? Excuse me. You add them to the network, you give them access to printers, you give them an email address, give them application to their phones, remote access, onboarding forms, all the things you got to do to get somebody started. And that's great until most companies do that decently. And then maybe the second piece is where they really start to fall down, is when that employee leaves and then they're hiring somebody else, they're worried about onboarding, not so much worried about offboarding the person that left. And this is really important because we've got to get them removed from the network, removed from access to data, and especially your important data. Make sure they can't get into your web-based applications or your corporate back-end forms, anything that they had access to before. Make sure they can't do that anymore. One of the other things is kind of maybe approval for email verifications for when it comes to an ACH or wire transfer. And we did have one of our clients a while back kind of do one of these. Now, the breach that happened wasn't even in their organization. Another company had gotten breached. They used an accounting email and sent emails in and said, hey, we need to change our stuff. We had a problem. here's our new ACH and wire transfer information, and it basically came from a hacked email account from the company, their partner, and instead of just making a phone call or doing some more verification on it, they decided to change the ACH or the wire transfer information, and next thing you know, over a six-figure payment went out to the wrong person. So you need to have some more things other than just looking at the email or saying, hey, I got this email for somebody wanting to change something, and so I make that phone call based on the phone number listed on that email. And little beknownst to you is the phone number on the email was changed, and that's going to the hacker as well. So there's a lot of things that can happen, and you have to have some safeguards put in place, and we're going to help you with that. The other thing we're going to do is if you don't have policy documents or you haven't updated your employee handbook in a while, we're going to give you a lot of the cybersecurity policies so you can add them to your either your handbook or to some of the processes you have. And Jason's got a little more information he could share on that one.
Yeah, I mean, part of what we're going to implement for all the companies on our cybersecurity stack is incident response plans. If an incident does happen, does everyone in your organization know what to do? Do they know how to report the incident? Do they know who to report it to? If you have a serious compromise or an active exploitation or data exfiltration, who's your first phone call? Is it us? Is it your insurance carrier? Have you called, do you even know their incident response phone number from your insurance carrier if you have cyber insurance? Most people don't. So, one of the things we're going to help with is creating that incident response plan and, detailing out step by step what to do, who to contact, in what order, what gets documented. And a lot of people don't know that if a breach happens, you can't turn off devices. You can disconnect them from the network, but you can't turn them off. You can't reboot them. There's that now is forensic evidence. It's a crime scene. So there's a lot of things that need to happen in order for, due diligence to be done to figure out what happened, what went down, how they got access. And that's a lot to do. So the incident response plan really is a key component of getting that in place. And that's part of the process. We have a lot of other documentation that we provide around access management, around anything that basically, if you're under compliance, we're going to help with any of the documentation, all the policies that are needed to fulfill all the requirements for SOC 2 audits, for SOC 1, SOC 2, for HIPAA, any of those different compliance and regulations. We're going to help with all of the required policies, and we're going to help implement it. Any of the CIS controls, things like that, we're going to help manage all of those. And having onboarding and offboarding checklists and making sure that things are getting done in the proper order and that access is taken away from employees that have left the organization are all critical. So that's all part of the protect the process pillar.
Part 3 of the framework is, again, to protect the technology. And there's quite a few things we do on this side, which is really, if you're on our new cybersecurity stack, you have all this. If you're not, these things are something that you probably need to think about adding. One of the big ones is the 24/7 security monitoring of all devices with the advanced threat detection. So we are collecting log data from all of the devices on the network that can report log data, and we're storing that for a period of time, because if something does happen, we may need to go back and find out, hey, this could have happened 2 months ago, and we need to have log data to go back to identify how the problem started, how do we remedy it, and we need that for reporting as well.
The thing about that is, since we have insight into all the logs from all the devices on your network, not only from your network, but from Office 365, from Azure, we can pull in logs from, if you're using Dropbox, if you're using other third-party platforms that we're able to grab logs from, we're able to ingest all of those and we're able to correlate everything. So it gives us insight into potential lateral movement that's going on. It gives us insight to know what's going on in every aspect of your environment, whether it's in-house, whether it's cloud. It really is eye-opening, the amount of data that we're able to pull in, correlate, analyze, and apply, advanced AI on and machine learning to look for anomalies, to do the threat detection. Because if someone's PC gets breached and, everyone has local admin rights, or you're not, doing the things that should be, lateral movement is easy. And if you're not logging that kind of stuff, I mean, we get cases within minutes when something happens, and our security operations center is actively looking at cases within a 15-minute time frame. And we're able to isolate devices, we're able to remove those things, and really get an understanding and help remediate a lot of that stuff before they can happen. And that's a big insight.
The next one is the continuous vulnerability management and remediation. And this is something that when we started, I think it's really one of the best things that we do for the company because it's ongoing. It happens continuously. So we find patches, things that haven't been fixed, things that are brand new, 0-day type things, issues with applications, and we get vulnerability insight reports, daily, and we have to remediate those reports. So it does take a lot of time on our side, but these are things that are happening right now. Not something that we caught, yesterday, 2 days ago, and we are doing remediation efforts on tickets daily now, which takes up a lot of time, but it really does give you and gives us a better feeling that we're providing the best protection we can provide for you.
Yeah, I mean, there are 0 days that are found almost every day. We subscribe to the CISA, which lists out all the vulnerabilities that are found. And, I get emails every single day with new vulnerabilities that are found, exploitations that are in the wild. I mean, Google Chrome's a big one. There was just one this week, another 0-day, and actively patching these things and making sure that we're staying on top of it is huge. Because, if your company isn't doing vulnerability management and they're not staying up to date on particular remediations and making sure that everything is patched, that's a huge security risk, and it's a gap in your security posture, and it's not an easy one. Patching is usually not too difficult, but there's more to remediation and vulnerability management than just patching a device. And the next point here is, an always on VPN or SASE. And, that's a big one. When, the traditional office environment for a lot of people is going away or gone already. And when you have such a fuzzy edge of where your people are working, it's, it used to be everyone was in an office and all of your security stuff was built around that location, and no one ever left, no one took devices home. Well, we're not there anymore. A lot of, especially since COVID, it escalated all of that stuff pretty quickly. We helped people get their work from home strategy set up when all that went down, and a lot of people are liking that and don't want to go back into the office. And I think we have probably 70% of the people that we work with still have people that either work from home full time or are in a hybrid situation. And devices leave the office, you have road warriors, and we have to now just look at everything as a potential threat. Every location is a threat. I mean, if you take your company laptop home and you work from home and you have tons of security cameras or Nest devices, things like those, and those are compromised, they now have access to that device, and they can try to move laterally to your device. So by using zero trust networks and things like that, we're able to segment and say, hey, when you're at home on your device, this device can't communicate with your home stuff. I mean, or if you're at Starbucks trying to get some work done, or your internet goes out at your home and you go to Panera or McDonald's or whatever. I mean, no other devices on that network should be able to talk to your computer, and vice versa. It shouldn't just happen. I mean, we have to now think, no matter where you are, we're not going to trust anything. Nothing should be trusted. And we're continuously evaluating that. And that's kind of what an always on VPN does. It's your security follows you wherever you are. And our content filtering, our security, our next generation antivirus, all these things go wherever you go, and your device is being protected no matter where it's at, and it's being segregated no matter where it's at. um, and that's huge, especially when you have a lot of people who leave the office. A big one that we're moving a lot of our clients who are on the cyber stack to is implementing controls. um, it's not fun, it's not a sexy topic, but um, you know, there is a statistic out there that, companies that even do the base IG1 controls of the CIS framework are like 60% less likely to suffer a breach because they're following certain controls that are put in place to, you know, implement a better posture and security for your network. So we're starting to move a lot of our customers to these frameworks and starting to implement controls and putting things in place to really help remediate a lot of these things before they even happen. Um, you know, Technology can't solve everything. A lot of it has to be processed. A lot of it has to be people driven, and just understanding and then putting these, technology controls on top of all that, to really drive things home, to have a better environment and be better ready for what's coming. Um, Protecting the technology is people, process, and technology, and the data. They're really four pillars because they're all crucial parts of your overall cybersecurity strategy. um and this scares me. So this was actually one of our clients before implementing some of the controls that we put in place. So all of these locations are individual counts of potential threat actors trying to get into their Office 365 environment. These are all failed login attempts. Um, and if you don't have multi-factor authentication turned on, all it takes is one password to get cracked, and you have a breach. And this is a huge amount of people from across the world that are actively trying to get into one client here in Columbus, Ohio. And that's scary. This is going on and you don't know about it. This is with every single client that we have done this on. Every single client has a map somewhat similar to this. Might not be as bad, but there are red dots all over the globe for every single client we work with. Someone is actively trying to get in 24/7 to your systems. And
And
it doesn't matter how small you are.
it used to be that everyone would say, "I'm too small to get hacked. They don't care about me." Well, that's what everyone thinks until they see this.
Yeah.
And there's one for everyone out there. So especially if you
Yeah.
have mail.
Yeah. And the problem is that, it's not that you're too small. It's just you're not big enough to make the news.
Yep.
That's really what it boils down to. You're just not big enough to make the news. Hopefully. I mean, no one wants to make the news. No one wants their reputation, to be put in jeopardy based on a breach.
That is true. And the fourth part of the pillar here is the framework is protect the data. And we talked a little bit about this, but if you don't have data on the network, if it's at rest, it's at risk. So unless it's encrypted, which a lot of people don't encrypt data on drives, they're not encrypting data on the laptops, they're not encrypting data on the servers. So when that data is sitting there, it's vulnerable. So that needs to be encrypted. We actually have a backup platform that can back up your data every 5 minutes if you require that. We keep on-site and off-site copies of your data. This should be done whether we're doing it for you or not. All the data backups need to be encrypted. The backups are then protected against ransomware. We'll back up your Office 365 or your Google Workspace, and then we do test restores of your data. So if all this isn't happening for your company, this needs to be going on, because if you have a big breach or data gets encrypted or something else happens and they actually get to some of the backup product, you're going to have to restore from data somewhere. So you got to make sure that data is protected and you can get it back. And this is probably this is the thing that we focused in on for 20 years. So we still have our focus here. We're not forgetting about this piece of it because it's very important, but we're trying to mitigate a lot of those things before it actually gets to this point. But we got to make sure we're protected on the back end to restore data. It could happen.
I mean, backups need to be air gapped. They need to be using, non-administrative accounts to get access to things. I think, with all the clients that have our backup appliance, I think we're doing backups every 60 minutes. And we have a local copy. We have a copy in the provider's data center, and we have a copy in a local data center. That's all encrypted at rest, all encrypted in transit. And then we need to have policies around it. How many times a year are we testing the restores? How many times are we shutting off all the servers and seeing how long it takes to get the servers back up or running virtually, or how long does it really take to get back up and running? And we need to be doing tabletop exercises and figuring out what our restore looks like and what went wrong, documenting it, changing, fixing. It continuously needs to happen because we don't want to just have a plan, never test that plan, and when it hits the fan and we need to use that plan, well, we never tested it, so we come up into a lot of roadblocks that we didn't foresee because we didn't test out and make sure that everything is working the way we expected it to.
Yep.
Having devices that don't have BitLocker on them. If someone broke into your medical practice and stole half of the devices that are in your office, what type of data is on them? Do they have patient data? They probably do. If you're using Outlook and people are sending you attachments, you're downloading them in Outlook. Outlook keeps a copy of them locally. If you're not using device encryption, someone can pull that drive out, stick it in their computer, and guess what? They have access to everything that is on that drive. So, putting device encryption on everything, it just makes sense. You have to do it. You just have to. And we work with so many clients that don't have device encryption going on. And, we're able to, if you save passwords in Google Chrome, if you save them in Firefox, guess what? We can get access to all of those. It's super easy. It's not encrypted. If you are logging into a third-party EMR, I have access to your system now. And if there's no 2FA on that system, then guess what? I can get in there as well. If you, have a Huntington account for the company, I have access to your Huntington account now. What we're able to find in these risk assessments is mind-boggling. If you're logging into Office 365 and there's a box that, hey, do you want to save your login? Well, guess what? It stores a token on your local computer. I can now steal that token and get into your Office 365 account. That to me was one of the biggest eye openers that I was like, holy crap, I did not realize that one little thing of make it convenient for me to get back into, Outlook Online or Teams Online or something like that, save that session. That session can be stolen within a certain time frame, and I can log in from a different location using that same session token, and I would never know. It's scary. It really is. As we've progressed down this cybersecurity path, and we've been doing this for a little over a year now. We've been going to training. We've been getting educated ourselves. We've been doing all this. It is mind-boggling what people can get access to that most people just don't even think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little scary out there. They really want to get in your company, they're going to get in. We're just really trying to make it as hard as possible. So maybe they go to someone that's easier to get into.
Yeah. A good, the way I like to, think about it is when they come knocking on your front door, is there one lock on that door or 10 to 12 locks on that door, because, if I'm doing reconnaissance and I'm driving down the street and saying, hey, this guy has one lock, 2 locks. Well, these people have 10 or 12 locks. Guess who I'm going after first? The guy with the one lock on his door.
Yeah.
So we like to put, as many layers as possible, as many locks on that front door as possible, to make sure that, they might try to come knocking, they might try certain things, but at the end of the day, it's too difficult. Let's just move on to someone easier. That's
Yeah.
our goal.
I'm going to let Jason take this side because he's done quite a few of the insurance forms for our current clients. And I think it's very eye-opening when he can tell you the first couple that he had to do and maybe the last one that he had to do. Big
Yeah,
difference.
I mean, when we first started getting cyber insurance, applications from clients, they were maybe one page with, small PDF with a couple of questions on there, and we'd say, yeah, we're doing this, yeah, and that was it. I just got done doing an application for ourselves internally and for clients, and it is now an Excel spreadsheet with about 10 tabs on it, 10 workbooks that are in there with about 150 to 200 questions. And what we've run into as well is that there are a lot of insurance agents that people are working with that are telling them, just go ahead and check yes to all those things. No one's ever going to really care or find out, and let's just get this policy set up for you. And the problem with that is, once you do have an incident, something does happen, you're a vendor you work with, their email got compromised and they sent you, say, hey, I know we're expecting X, Y, and Z. Instead of getting us a check, can you wire us the money? And you wire it to them because, hey, it's coming from the same email address you normally deal with. And you wire them $125,000. Well, you go to make that claim, they're going to go through, and I've done this. I've worked with Secret Service on it for a client, and I've worked with attorney generals and forensic teams from current clients. And you have to give them everything, access to everything. They go over every part of your technology and figure out, well, you checked we were doing this for all these devices. You checked we were doing this, this, and this. Well, we found you're actually not doing that, or maybe you're only doing it for 25% of the devices, or you have MFA for your admin account, but no one else in Office 365. We're going to deny your claim, or we're going to pay 10% of your claim. If you just wire $125,000 and you're only getting 0 back, or you're getting 10% of that back, that's a big difference. And you don't want that. I wouldn't want that. I mean, if I lost $125,000 of our company money, that would be detrimental. I mean, so, these things are getting more and more complicated because these insurance carriers are tired of being banks. They're tired of getting all of these incidents for people who either don't care, are, being told just to check yes on all these things and actually not doing anything about it. They're done. We deal with this a lot. We have an insurance broker that we work with for a lot of our other clients. And there are a lot of carriers out there that are even starting to not even offer cyber liability insurance because the risk is too high and the claims are too much. I think the estimate was like in the billions of claims in 2023. And that's huge. No one wants to spend that kind of money for companies that aren't doing the right and necessary things to protect themselves anymore. And you have to be doing these things in order to get that claim fulfilled. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
It's great to have the insurance, but if you're not doing all the things that they want you to do, you might as well not pay for cyber liability insurance, because they're not going to cover it.
Right.
They're going to poke hole and find a loophole, find something that you are not doing to deny that claim. And then you've potentially paid, a couple $1,000s a year, and you can't take advantage of it. It's just, you shouldn't even be paying for it if you're not going to put the necessary things in place to make sure that when something happens, that claim is fulfilled.
That's good insight there. So where do we go from here? And you can either try to do it all yourself, which is, I can say from personal experience, it's impossible. Most companies do not have the expertise to do it. Um, and even if they did, that's not their primary business. They need to be spending the money where they make money. We do this as our primary business. We're on it every day. This is what we do. And as long as we do what we do, you guys can focus on doing what you do, and that is serving your clients and growing your company. So, um, no need to spend a lot of time on this, but this is what we do every day. We're the experts at it. We're not medical professionals. We're not legal professionals. We're IT professionals and cybersecurity experts. That's what we do. So let us do our job for you, and that gives you kind of you know, the leeway to focus on what you guys do the best and deliver the best services you can deliver.
Well, and adding on to that, I mean, even if you have, internal IT, we have some clients that have one or two people on staff. Um, Having the depth of knowledge and having the tools and platforms necessary to do all of these things can be overwhelming and expensive, because you have to have people on staff to analyze the data. You have to have people to implement the data, to manage and monitor all of the data, the platforms, the technology, the processes. All of it has to be done. And it's hard for internal teams who don't have the access to these things. It's hard for them to stay on top of all this. So, we work with a lot of co-managed clients where they might have one or two people who are internal that do the help desk things, who help set up new laptops, desktops. They help manage the servers. They help when people need issues. They're doing all that stuff, but outsource all that stuff, the security components, to us. Allow us to be your security team, and put all the platforms in place. We monitor everything 24/7. SOC team that's behind it, analyzing all that stuff, the machine learning behind it. um, it's hard to do as just your own internal team when you're trying to focus on keeping your current users happy, and making sure that that stuff is in place. Allow us to be that elevated security team for you guys, so we can handle the security component while you handle everything else in the business.
Yeah, that's really good, Jason. How long is it going to take? So, what we really want to do is start with the cybersecurity session, and that's where you sit down and really talk about your business, like how important are certain things to you. It's your company; you get to make the decision. Um, there might be certain things that you're doing already. We want to take those into consideration. We don't want to recreate the wheel. We want to build on where you want to spend dollars to protect your company. So we talk about what's important to you, how long can you be down, what it might cost you if you're down for an hour. Get some real numbers on that so we know. What if you're down for a whole day? Just to get some numbers so we can put some real numbers to your risk that we find. And then we will come back and we'll run some assessment tools. We're going to check for dark web passwords that are out there that that are pretty much bought by hackers on a daily basis so that they can use those passwords to try to crack other things. We'll take a look at, kind of where the data at rest is residing in the company on all the desktops and servers. Make sure if there's any information there that could be, client or patient data or PI information that people can pull out of there. We want to make sure we address all those things. And then once we find all that, we're going to come back and we're going to present the findings to you, give you an idea of what we might currently be doing for you if you're a client of ours. If we're not, these are the things that you should be doing. And then here's the things that we could do for you with our security products and services. And then it becomes decision time of how do you want to protect your business? Do you want to protect your business? Have you built this thing where you don't want some hacker that is a no name that you have no idea where they're at from whatever country come in and take what you've built away from you? And we don't want that to happen. So, we're small businesses. So we're not going to look at, hey, we got to invest $1 million in cybersecurity because it isn't going to happen. None of us can afford that. But what steps can we take? And then put that down and say, this is what we can do together and start moving forward to protect your company. And I think you'll feel better about it. I will feel a lot better about it. I know Jason will feel a lot better about it, because a lot of the stuff we're seeing out there today is these threats are coming really fast, very often, and they're getting much more complicated. So we have to start taking some action now. Because like Jason said before, it really isn't a matter of if you get hacked, it's when you get hacked. You're going to get hacked. I mean, if they really want to get your business, they really want to hack you, let's just make sure if they do get in the front door, you can't find anything. We've got it all locked down, at least as much as we can.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think a lot of people out there understand that these people doing this, it's a business.
Oh, yeah.
It is an absolute business model. There is ransomware as a service. There is phishing as a service. There is an entire ecosystem around, exploitation, data exfiltration, compromise. I mean, there are people get paid annually, monthly salaries to do this stuff. I can go buy a list of email addresses on the dark web and then go to a phishing as a service on the dark web and say, hey, I have a list I want you to phish, and they will do it for me. They will, over and over again, as long as I keep paying them on a monthly basis, will try to phish your users. If one gets done, and someone gets compromised, they then give that to me. I can then go to another third party and say, hey, I have all of these legitimate hacked accounts. Do you want to buy them off of me? Or here's a bunch of hacked accounts. I want to pay you to then go and compromise them and deploy ransomware. There's services. I can pay these people monthly to do this. And I don't think people realize just how much is going on out on the dark web and in these areas. I mean, it's big business. These places are run like companies. If you work for me doing this and you actually compromise an account and we get a 3 million ransom, well, guess what? You get a bonus for doing that. I mean, it's highly incentivized, and it's just out there. Anyone can pay this stuff, and it's crazy. And, part of our risk assessment too, to add on to what Mark said, is, we're going to do some internal penetration testing. We're going to come at you and say, hey, we're going to come and say, with the mindset that you've already been compromised, what do we have access to? And we're going to do this on every single device in your organization. And, there could be social engineering that happens. There could be all of these different components. What can we get access to if you are compromised? Can we move laterally? Can we get into your Office 365 environment from your compromised PC, or can we get into Google Workspace? We're going to go down every rabbit hole possible on these devices and figure out what we can do. And that's all part of the risk assessment process. And part of the findings process is, where are you at now? What is it going to take to get you where you need to be? And all the different gaps that we've identified, how can we plug them? And how can they stay plugged? And how can we monitor these things? Because it can be a lot, especially if you're a bigger company. You have a lot of different third-party platforms you're working with. Those are all entry points. We need to make sure we're getting all of them.
Yeah, that's really good. Just to add one more thing to that, if you were to go to an interview at one of these hackers, you have to wear a suit and tie. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, it is
they're
big business.
professional organizations. So just a slide about, here's what it's like working with Blue Team. We really care about our clients. We care about your business. If your business doesn't make it, we don't make it.
Yep.
So, we really rely on our customers to work with us to help us protect them, help them grow securely. And that's really what we're all about. We have a great track record. Our customer service is second to none in this area. We have probably a 99.9% customer sat rating. We just are very good at what we do. And what's more is, we really care about what happens to you. We don't want to see anyone in our communities either suffer something like this, or if they do, that it's very little suffering that we can make it.
Yeah.
We don't want to see people out of business because that affects our community, and you're in our community. So, just we have a vested effort, interest in helping you, and the more we can help you, the better we can be as well. So really, what's the next step here? So there's a little webinar special here. That should make a little somebody smile. We're going to get 50% off your cybersecurity assessment for everyone that is actually attending the webinar today. You can go to that link. I'm not sure why there's two, just to make it
that's weird.
Double whammy, but it'll be on the next slide too.
We're going to scan the QR code.
Yeah, just scan the QR code, and all you're doing at that point is just saying, hey, I just want to talk more about what's going to happen when you guys come in. So we'll give you a call. We'll have some discussions. We'll schedule an appointment to come out, just collect some more information. If you're a current client, we probably have 50% of it. If you're not, then I would, probably plan on about 40 minutes for us to sit down and really kind of get some information about what you're doing, how you're doing it, what's important to your company. And then we'll take the next step to sign a risk assessment. We'll sign an NDA with you to make sure that any information we collect does not get shared with anyone else. And the things that we do for you is going to be, again, under non-disclosure, just to protect everyone involved. And then we're going to sit down 2 weeks later. It takes us about 2 weeks to run these things and get all the information tabulated and put in a good format for you to see it. And we're going to come out and present to you what we found, and then we can talk about what's next steps for us.
Yep, I posted a link in the chat for everyone as well.
Oh, you did already? Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that will do it for us. There's the link again if you want to go to the website to do it. But
yeah,
we just appreciate everyone being here.
To QA, if anyone has any questions, or let's actually go to there. If anyone has any questions for us, any comments, feedback, anything you struck you from the presentation that you have a question on, I'm happy to answer those. Just wait a minute here. Let anyone potentially type it. Got my Mountain Dew Zero with me today. Need a little caffeine.
Just so everyone knows that Jason was a radio announcer in his previous life, I think.
Yes, I was. Welcome to Blue Team Networks. I think we're also going to have a replay of this available. So it is getting recorded, and we can send out a recording of it in case you want to. What is a ballpark range for costs? Well, that's a tough one because it depends on what we find. It depends on how big you are. For you, Delane, how about we take this offline and we can kind of talk. I mean, there is kind of an average of price of what, sometimes what we come at, but it also depends on compliance regulations and things like that. A lot can go into that. So how about go ahead and click the link and let's talk. Let's schedule something and get on a call. Because that's, it really can depend on a lot of different things. Like I said, we're going to record it. Any ideas on how to get physicians to take this seriously? Well, I mean, that definitely, I would have them watch the recording. If they didn't show up today, I can send you the link to the recording and they can watch it on their own time. And, hopefully, we've sat down with clients and gone through the presentation of the findings and literally have had some clients say, I just want to do this. Whatever the cost is, it doesn't matter. Like, this is scary. That map of the Office 365 logins, it's downright scary. No one really realizes how much is going on in the background until, we come and sit down in front of them and say, this is what your reality is. And it's not good. So, hopefully, if we can do a risk assessment and sit down in front of people and they can watch us recording and get an idea of really what is going on in the world, because if the amount of patients that you guys work with and the amount of data that is in your EMR, I mean, obviously I know you guys. So, if someone was able to get into that environment and get patient data or the stuff that's on your PC and get access to that, I mean, we're talking a lot of fines. We're talking HIPAA fines. We're talking a lot of other stuff that could put you out of business. And a lot of people work there. A lot of people depend on your organization to put food on the table. And to me, I mean, I posted on LinkedIn, I think about 2 weeks ago, like kind of my why. And, you know, with all the clients that we work with, all the families that are involved with everyone that we work with, it's a big number. It's a lot of people who rely on, coming into work and getting a paycheck and putting food on the table. And that's a huge responsibility. And it's something that really needs to be taken seriously because you could be out of business. And then everyone who works there and their families is scrambling. No one wants that. So, let's talk and let's figure out how we can get people to care because it is. I mean, how do we get them to care about this stuff? It's going out of business is not good. Hopefully
No.
that, would potentially be enough to get people motivated to do what's needed, especially around patient data.
Yeah, and I guess I'll just add one more thing to that, and then we could kind of wrap this up. But I really think that this is probably the biggest decision and the best decision you can make for your organization for 2024. Because if
100%.
you don't understand the risks you're going into, you're going to get blindsided eventually. And this just helps at least identify all those things, kind of opens up that, takes the lid off and lets you look inside what's really happening. And then you can make some decisions saying, hey, you know what? I can't do that now. Maybe I want to, if I can do that in second quarter, but this is what we can do right now to protect ourselves. At least that gets you going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Um,
Get the ball rolling.
yeah, because if you don't do something and you continue with, just security as is, it just isn't enough today. There's going to be a lot of things that are coming. The attacks are getting more complicated, getting more sophisticated, and you just have to have better framework and tools to avert them. And if you
Yeah.
don't have them, and if you don't know about them, you're definitely not going to have them. So I'm just saying this is probably the best decision you can make for your company. And I mean, if you think about what it's going to cost you as a small business, say you had a small business of 10 people, it's probably less than buying 4 PCs. I mean, for the price of less than 4 PCs, you can find out what really is happening in your company and what you can protect. So, I mean, I don't think anyone really balk at that.
Yeah. Yep. Good point.
So,
All right. Well, if there are no more questions, we'll go ahead and wrap this up and really appreciate everyone who was here. And hopefully
absolutely.
you got an idea of, kind of what's going on now and maybe some things you need to work on or focus on or have some conversations about. And we'll, I think, have a replay of this available and hope everyone has a great rest of your day.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye.